Hello everyone, welcome to Maritime SoftwareHub, the People Podcast. My name's Callum Beaumont and today I'm joined by Christina Kaskoura, who is the Chief Technology Officer at Harbour Lab. So welcome Christina and thank you so much for coming in and joining us today.
Hello, it's great to be here. So, as you said, I'm Christina. I'm the Chief Technology Officer in Harbour Lab.
Mm-hmm.
Harbour Lab is a startup, and we offer a software as a service for maritime companies to manage their disbursement account expenses.
Yeah.
It's a rather new company, 4 years old, and they've been there for 2.5 years now.
Wow.
And so far, it's been quite a journey.
Yeah, I bet. I think any kind of startup, well, I guess kind of a scale up now, really, in the last 2 or 3 years has gone through lots of change. And I guess the adoption has been really kind of fast tracked, obviously, because of things that happened in 2020, that sort of phase. So really interesting to talk to you today. And we're going to dive into the topic of, well, not the topic, more about the role of a chief technology officer in shipping in particular. But we've never had someone with your role, as I mentioned, on the podcast before. So it'd be really nice to sort of go into what a day-to-day looks like for you. And maybe any tips for like aspiring CTOs that want to climb the ladder and get to where you've gone. So perhaps before we start, why don't you give us a quick overview of your background and maybe how you kind of got into this role at Harbour Lab?
So I'm a software engineer. I've been interested in coding ever since I can remember, ever since I found out coding is a thing.
Yeah. Wow.
So I've studied computer engineering, did my master's in the University of Edinburgh on computer science, and then started working as a software engineer.
Yeah.
I was really lucky over the first few years of my career to work with really talented, really great people who taught me a lot about software engineering, about business, about building good software, about meeting the needs of your clients. Eventually, I went into more leadership roles, team lead, software architect, building bigger technology teams. And then 2.5 years ago, I met Antonis, the Harbour Lab CEO.
Yeah. Excellent.
We talked about Harbour Lab. He explained the vision. We had a lot in common, a lot of common values. We shared a common vision about things that we want to do and the difference we want to make in the world. So I joined Harbour Lab as a CTO.
Brilliant. Okay. And did you have any exposure to shipping prior to that? Is it apart
No,
from
absolutely not.
living in Greece?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
So it has been quite a journey on that regard as well.
Have you found that you've needed to kind of like learn any aspects quite quickly, or do you think overall kind of a broad knowledge is okay in your particular role in general?
I think in this role in particular, it's really important to understand the business and understand the business needs, because it's basically a role that bridges business with technology. You need to have a very good grasp of the business to be able to identify the technology that fits this specific business. But we have quite a few people in the company who are really knowledgeable in shipping. So I've had a lot of support in learning all about it.
No, good. Well, no, I mean, it's a really interesting role, and especially if you come from the software engineering side, do you obviously you have insights over sort of the product testing side and the business analysis side and other teams. So we'll dive into a bit more about that later, the actual makeup of the role. But just generally as an overview of Harbour Lab, could you just give a quick guide on how they help their customers with their kind of digital journey in general?
Yeah, so as I said, we have a software that is used for managing and approving disbursement accounts.
Yeah.
Disbursement accounts basically is the second largest expense after bunkering right now for vessels. So it's really important for the industry, a really big market. And a big problem of that is that you have a vessel, you go into a port, depending on which terminal, sometimes even which berth you go into, the time of day, a number of other parameters that you don't really control, the expenses are really different. So you can't really predict what happens. And the added value that we provide is that we have a set of algorithms that can estimate the expenses for different ports, all these different parameters.
Okay.
They can estimate them beforehand, or even when you get a DA from an agent, we can run our estimations and tell you how close to what you got from the agent, how close it is to our estimates. And it's really important for us. Trustworthiness is actually one of our core values as a company. It's really important for us to promote transparency and trust in the industry, so that our users have all the data they need to make informed decisions.
Yeah, I guess it's so difficult with so many different ports and different processes and different costs. It must be very hard for ship owners and cargo handlers to track.
Yes, it is very complex. And through our use of technology, we can make that easier. And this is actually a part of the company that we're continuously investing on. How we can use technology to make our algorithms even more performant, even more accurate, and how we can use technology to help the industry.
No, a really interesting area. And we're speaking to a couple of other companies in similar areas, but Harbour Lab seems to be one of the real prominent businesses, especially with recent investment and everything. So congratulations.
Thank you.
I'm sure a lot of work went into that.
And, a lot of work,
No, so fantastic. So it sounds like you've got a very bright future ahead of you guys, and look forward to seeing how you develop.
Yeah, we did a lot of work, and we still have a lot of work in front of us, but it's been great to know that we can actually make a difference.
So if on this topic of receiving and getting funding, what type of things were you kind of planning and putting in place in order to sort of reach that level of funding, if you don't mind me asking?
So it's a number of different things. It's about being able to determine and show to the investors where you fit in the industry, what the market is like, what's the problem that we're solving, demonstrating that there is an actual problem that we're solving and there is value in what we're doing.
Yeah.
And then also having a view for the future, what we're doing now and what we're planning to do in the years to come to, as I said, become more performant, bring even more value. Investors are obviously interested in all of these things. They're interested in seeing that there is potential in a company that they're going to invest in.
And do you think there's a lot of appetite from investors still in the maritime technology space, or has that dried up a little bit, do you think, in general, if you've got insight into that?
In general, the past few years are a bit harder in terms of investments. Mm-hmm. A few years ago, it was much easier to get funding. But that being said, maritime technology is a space that's evolving right now. So it is a good place to be in because there's a lot of things to do. It's not, as crowded as other spaces.
Yeah, I agree. And certainly I that sort of piece where the investment has kind of slowed down a little bit, we see on the recruitment side. So 2020 to 2022 in particular was very kind of buoyant. Lots of recruitment happening from our point of view in either the tech or the sales, in particular, go to market hires. And then 2022, 2023, the kind of the finance tap sort of turned off a little bit. And then it means that the hiring sort of slowed down, or just being a bit more cautious. And now we're starting to see it pick up a little bit, I think. So it's the whole investment piece is so important, and I think it really helps to have, once you get it, having that future plan ahead, so succession planning in case ever people lead or revenue dries up, that type of thing. So it sounds like you guys are in a really good position to grow. So no.
I hope you are. I hope we are. I think we are.
Yeah. Well, this kind of leads me on to my next point. So you have a training academy. Is that right? What it's called? Internal training. Yeah.
Yes. So we have the Harbour Lab Academy.
Yes.
It started out as an academy for maritime students.
Okay.
To learn a bit more about the industry and be more hands-on. Yeah. As I said, we have a lot of people in the company that are really knowledgeable about the industry. So it started out as an academy that we were offering in cooperation with universities to do, a crash course, let's say, to students about specific parts of the industry. And more specifically, this whole flow, around the port and port calls and the A's and all of that. And it also involved as an internal academy for us as well, because as we've grown, we had a lot of people like me who don't have a maritime background.
Yeah.
They don't know the business, they don't know the industry. So we also offer this academy internally, so that people who come into the company can learn more about what maritime is like, what the business is like, what the business problems we're solving are. And it helps a lot with raising understanding around the problem that we're solving.
I think so too. I think, I mean, a bit of a shameless plug, but I created a short course as well, and it is called the Digital Shipping Skills Accelerator, and in particular, it's been adopted quite well from people that come into shipping tech companies that don't have a shipping background, or similarly, the kind of existing mariners or brokers or charterers that want to cross over to the technology piece. They want just a high level overview of I guess the main players. What does SaaS mean? What's the typical sales cycle? What's a product manager do? Those sort of things. So I think if you can offer that internally, that's a huge advantage. And also when you just onboard people, they kind of get ramped up and up to speed quicker. So was that already in place when you joined, or did you help?
It was in place as a course offered to university students, and at some point we decided to also hold it internally as well.
Yeah, good. No, hopefully, I'm sure it'll keep up adoption. And would you ever look at maybe taking it external, offering it to other people, or do you prefer to keep it just in house?
We'll see.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, cool. So let's talk about the main topic of today, which is really the role of a chief technology officer. What would you say the day in a life looks like for you? Maybe in the role, and then also like in shipping as well. What's it been like coming from There's two questions here. Let's start with the role of a CTO, if that's okay.
So one of the exciting things about being in a startup is that the company evolves and the role also evolves.
Yeah.
So when I first joined 2.5 years ago, I was basically a team lead. I was writing codes, dealing with production issues, releases, everything and anything that a lead software engineer does. And then the company grew and we matured, and now it's an actual CTO role. So I'm no longer hands-on.
Yeah.
And I deal more with business problems, with technology, with strategy. So I spend a lot of time talking to people.
Yeah.
People in different parts of the business, understanding the problems, trying to predict which direction we want to take from a technology point of view to be in a place to be able to support future problems that will come our way. It also has a very big leadership part.
Yeah.
Being a leader in the technology part of the company. We have a team of engineers, a group of engineers now. So seeing what their concerns are, helping them grow, inspiring them into trying new things. And I'm also involved in some really important technical designs that we do for the future, doing some reviews, providing some feedback. But the actual work is now done by our engineering team.
Yeah. Okay, fascinating. So, yeah, I mean, I'd love to, this is from my own perspective, but also perhaps more from some of our listeners that are maybe not from a technical background, and they maybe more from the shipping side. So can you just give a quick overview, typically maybe in a software company, a SaaS business, what is the sort of the structure of a typical technology business in terms of like the dev team, engineering? How does it work, and how do they kind of interact?
So what usually happens is there is one or more development teams.
Yeah.
They have software engineers, usually a team lead. We're using agile methodologies, so that means that there is also a product manager embedded within the team, a UI designer. Sometimes you may find QA engineers or test engineers. It depends on the structure of the company, really.
Yeah.
And this team or these teams are responsible for getting features, designing them, figuring out all the details, and implementing them. And in the Scrum methodology that we're also using, there is a cycle around that.
Okay.
So every couple of weeks, every 3 weeks for us, there will be a new release of new features. So everything revolves around this cycle. What can we do in the next 3 weeks to bring value to our users? What's the minimum thing that we can do within 3 weeks to put something in front of our users, validate that it resonates, that it makes sense for them, that it gives value, and then improve on it further and further.
Okay, makes sense. So the customer-facing tech team, are they predominantly the product managers that would like talk about requirements and adjustments to the solution? Is that
it's
right?
Usually product managers. Yeah. We also have a sales team. Yeah. So we have onboarding specialists or customer support people. They are also interacting with clients, really. So they will involve product managers when needed. And then on some more technical initiatives, like integrating with an external system, for instance, we will also involve engineers in these discussions to make sure that all the technical aspects are also well thought out.
Okay, brilliant. So like general troubleshooting things, would that come from like a customer success manager type of person, from a client, or would it generally go straight to the technology team?
It depends. Some things will come from a client through the customer success team, but also we have a lot of tools around monitoring our platform. So usually, if something goes wrong, we will be notified by our tools before we are notified by our users.
Oh, brilliant. Okay, cool. Okay, excellent. No, thank you so much. That helps my understanding. I've got a bit of an overview, but that's really good, really helpful. So, any kind of like tips for aspiring kind of people that want to get to that C-suite? Maybe they're in different types of leadership roles in technology. Any tips to try and work your way up that ladder?
I think the main tip is to understand that technology is only part of the equation. Obviously, to get into a role like that, you need to have a really good grasp of technology. Yeah. But as I said before, it's a role that bridges technology with business. So you also need to be in a position to understand business problems, and not to do technology for the sake of technology, but try to identify the specific technology that will help you solve these problems. Yeah. So it's a generalist role rather than focusing on one specific technology or something specific. Yeah. Try to open your horizons, see a lot of different things, get a lot of different experiences, and see what you can use going forward.
Yeah, interesting. Thank you. And typical paths from people to go into that role, can they come from anywhere? So you either would like a senior data scientist potentially go into that chief technology officer role, or someone maybe from a support role go into CTO? Is it just completely open depending on the type of character and the individual?
I would say it depends on the individual, yeah. In general, in technology, in software engineering, as you grow, you generally pick either a leadership path, engineering manager, leading larger teams, which is more hands-off, or a technology path. So dealing more with software architecture, with being a leader from a technical point of view. Depending on the individuals, I could see both of these paths ending on a CTO role.
And you may not know this, but in general, I keep saying in general, sorry, but like typically in the maritime technology space, do you know what the most common tech stacks are? Like the software they're using predominantly? Is it like React? Is it slightly different? Or is it more kind of just completely bespoke depending on the individual company and their platform, do you think?
I don't know if there is something that generally everyone uses. And it is a space where the past few years, there have been a lot of new companies, startups like us. Yeah. So we see a lot of new things pretty much every day. So I would say it's still under development.
Yeah, and probably evolving kind of trends from one different type of code.
Yeah, so we have a few large-scale systems, VMS systems, that have been there for many years, and that's pretty much all companies are using. But the new tools, like SaaS tools like the one we are offering, they're still evolving.
Yeah. And what about the ERP side? Is that something you look at? My knowledge of that area is pretty low, I'll be honest. And we have some clients, obviously, that's their primary kind of method of working in their approach. Can you give us a quick overview of what that means and what that entails?
Yeah, so most, if not all, of our clients are using ERPs or VMS systems, depending on what the focus of the system is, really. And basically what we offer, it can be combined with that system. And we actually offer integrations with such systems. So you have an ERP or a VMS and you use that for your voyage management, and you have all your vessels recorded there. You enter all the information around port calls and which vessel goes where, etc., etc. And then we have integration with that system, so that when you actually book a port call, this information is going to flow to our platform. The port call is going to create it automatically in our platform, and then the operator can log into Harbor Lab and make the appointment, discuss with the agent, do the whole DA flow. When the DA arrives and it's finally approved, the approved expenses will flow back to the ERP so that your finance department can pick them up, do the payments.
Okay. All right. Interesting. Okay. Thank you very much. Cool. Well, I think that's pretty much, I think, what I had in questions written down to sort of think about in the terms of the role of a CTO. Is there anything else you'd like to share that perhaps we didn't discuss today?
The only thing I have in mind is what an interesting place to be is maritime technology right now. As we said earlier, it's really evolving right now. So there are a lot of new things coming up, a lot of unmet business needs in the industry. So it's a really great ride, and it's really exciting to see how the industry evolves and becomes more enabled by technology.
Yeah, no, I think so too. When I started our recruitment agency back in 2019, and we were predominantly doing kind of more commercial recruitment, so hiring vessel operators, analysts, brokers, charterers. But then since 2020 till now, we've really focused on that sort of the SaaS data sales, the software sales, the more kind of mid to senior level product management, that type of thing. And that's just because of the demand and the rise in that area. And it is so interesting, especially if you've got a bit of a passion for things like decarbonisation or safety at sea. And obviously from a broking point of view, just like the data side of pre and post fixture, the analytics behind that is really interesting. So I think if anyone's wants to get into shipping and then think about maybe going either into a technology route of shipping or into a more commercial shipping or on board a ship, you've got so many options now. It's just a case of finding out about them and understanding which ones might be a right fit for you.
Yeah, exactly. It's a huge industry. You can do pretty much anything.
Yeah, brilliant. Okay, Christina, and I mean, I always ask this, but obviously, aside from working and obviously very busy lady, but any particular hobbies or interests outside of work?
I love traveling.
Okay.
COVID and my two children put a pause on that for a while, but I'll be picking up again soon. Awesome. I also like sailing.
Okay, brilliant.
And music. I play the piano.
Oh, lovely. Very nice. Brilliant. And with your sailing at all, is it mainly around the islands here, or is there any particular areas you like to go?
No, around the islands here. Well, there is lovely weather in Greece for sailing anyway. Yeah. So.
No, when I lived in Patalimani in 2006 for around 9 months or so. So every weekend I'd just get the little ferry over to Hydra, Spetsis or Egina, and I wasn't sailing, but it was just nice to get out on those little hydrofoil. That's right. Yeah. So you've got lots of options to explore. So, okay. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. I really enjoyed this conversation, and also, from my point of view, learning a bit more about the tech side of digital shipping. We've got a relatively good knowledge on the commercial side, but the technology side is definitely room for improvement for us.
Thank you. It was lovely being here.
No, my pleasure. And obviously, enjoy the rest of the week. We're here in Posidonia. It's now drawing towards the end of the week, so a couple more days to go. But no, thanks for making the time to come out, and appreciate your insights.
Thank you.
Pleasure.